Thank you, Senate Judiciary Committee. My name is Kristen Langworthy. I am a resident of East Providence, a community advocate, and a civics educator. I have come to have many conversations with particularly younger people about the value of participation in our political landscape. There is a deep cynicism that exists not just for the young in our state, but I think it pervades the entire state of Rhode Island about the integrity of the political systems that make decisions and affect the interests and lives of everyone in our state. I think this legislation is an excellent first step in deconstructing that toxic way in which we are perceived as a state, in how we take care of everyone and their needs. I think that when politicians are able to choose their voters instead of voters being able to choose their elected politicians, it feeds the cynicism that leads more people to choose not to participate, whether it is as a voter or on a board or commission or coming up to testify here and to inform decision makers about how legislation would affect them. I think that conflicts of interest severely undermine even good decisions. So even decisions by the existing commission that are not considered unfair or improper because of the nature of the way those decisions are made or the process by which the people who make decisions are appointed, there is this disbelief that any outcome is legitimate, even the ones that are. And I think that a legislature that people believe in leads to other instruments of government becoming more trusted. When you all do very excellent work up here to serve your constituents, there is still that residual attitude that no one in government does anything good or right. And there are times when government fails, but there are also times that government succeeds in serving the interests of their constituents. A fair process leads to people perceiving appointees as true public servants rather than as a perk for insiders or political allies, rewards or punishments for loyalty, or any other factor that really isn't about serving constituent needs. And conversely, a demonstrably fair district map that is drawn by people who are not standing for election or have connections to those that are creates a positive effect on the political culture. I think that would be substantial to give people a reason to believe in those outcomes, which has collateral effects across the board. You have people willing to believe that the process is fair, the outcomes are just, and it gives them motivation to not automatically dismiss the product of government work. I'm aware that it's a really big ask to come here and say to political incumbents in particular, sacrifice a little bit of the control or the input that you have into the process in order to serve this independent initiative. But I think what we gain is so much greater than what we might lose, and that it gives you actually a bold mandate when you are elected through a fair process and people have a belief in its integrity to pursue an agenda that serves constituent needs. I think it's also important to point out that we need to disprove the myth that the purpose of public service is self-service. It's a very negative way of looking at government and actually turns people away from going into government service itself. So it's many across the board, many effects from this one almost symbolic gesture, in addition to all the substantive concrete ways that it reinforces our democratic structures. I would just ask that this committee start the process of taking the stand of moral leadership and create more genuine hope for the people of Rhode Island and the political experience that they hope to have here. And I thank you for your time, and we'll answer any questions.
Thank you for your testimony. Senator McKenney.
Ms. Langworthy, I just want to thank you for your testimony. I think it was articulate and passionate. And I'm struck when I read your written submission by your notation of only 3 out of every 100 eligible votes in the millennial cohort participates in party primaries. I didn't have a general election last year, only a primary. And that's scary.
Mm-hmm. And it's worse for Generation Z as well, the coming generation.
With 3 kids who happen to be in the millennial cohort who do vote, it means 97 others in our surroundings are not bothering to go to the polls. And I see that cynicism that you're talking about, and I do think it's time that we address this. And unless we do, one of the concerns about democracy is if people don't participate and if folks distrust what is done, it clearly can lead to negative consequences. So I want to thank you.
Thank you, sir.